day that Flight Lieutenant J.J Rawlings retired finally goes home. There's a ceremony that is underway at the Independence Square, or the Black Star Square in Accra. It's been largely solemn and it's not been crowded as Rawlings would have typically commanded. And of course, this is for obvious reasons, the COVID-19. But that notwithstanding, Ghanaians from all walks of life, and indeed members of the party he formed, the National Democratic Congress, have been here to bid him a final goodbye. His spouse and children, other relatives are here, the President of the Republic, and of course the military that is presiding over this event, currently organizing a befitting funeral before he finally goes home or is finally laid to rest. J.J Rawlings, an enigma, a most charismatic individual, one of the very charismatic people that Ghana has ever known, finally goes home. Let me take you into the funeral proceedings of what exactly has been happening so far. And Citi News' Ni Ayukwe-Okan, who has been covering the funeral for the past few days, has a summary of proceedings thus far.
The remains of the late President J.J Rawlings was conveyed from the Accra International Conference Center for the final burial service at the Black Star Square on Wednesday. Dignitaries, including the President and Vice President of Ghana, together with their spouses, and former Presidents John Akufo-Addo and John Mahama, were at the service of the late President. Members of the diplomatic corps and some key functionaries from across the world were also present. The service began with prayers by the clergy and intermittent musical interludes. A biography was read by Eric Beho on behalf of Mr. Rawlings' family.
He was given the gift of empathy and was able to humbly feel for and show compassion for the pain and suffering of others. The sick child who could not see a doctor, or the young soldier denied his basic human rights. He understood the language of the people, and he articulated it with all conviction and empathy. By calling on workers, soldiers, farmers, policemen, teachers, and students to raise their consciousness.
President Akufo-Addo also paid a tribute to the late President J.J Rawlings.
No secret that the relation that existed between the two of us, right from the heady days of 1979 through to my brief period in exile, to be my elected the 2008 MPP presidential candidate, was one of open animosity. We did not see eye to eye. However, with time, things changed. We came to see value in each other and understood to a very large degree our respective perspectives. One thing we had in common was our mutual commitment to public service.
A tribute by the wife, J.J Rawlings, was read by one of her daughters, Amina Rawlings.
I dare say we did not do a bad job. As you worked assiduously on state matters, I concentrated on empowering the women and improving the quality of life for them. Irrespective of their origins or creed, we were a team fighting to transform a collapsed state into one of potential prosperity for all. You did your best, and I played my part in my own way. You always said you did not need titles to define you, so you remained Flight Lieutenant J.J Rawlings. You also said you did not need political titles to influence a party to do what is right and honest for Ghana. So for most, you remained chairman. To me, you were and always will be Jerry, my love, my life partner, my friend. You were for Ghana and then for me.
Dr. Zanata Rawlings read the tribute by the children. Some persons who were at the venue to pay their last respect to the late J.J. Rawlings also shared warm-hearted memories of him to Citi News.
He was a great man. He was a just man. He was a no-nonsense man. He was a man who believed in what is right. He didn't care whether you liked it or not. He didn't care whether you stopped going out with him or not. He didn't care if you were going to be a friend or not. All that he needed was the right thing to be done. And I'm telling you, he did something great for musicians as well, by building the National Theatre, the Conference Center. I'm saying for conference, but he allowed musicians to perform. He allowed actors to go and act there. He did a lot for musicians. 79, I was there when there was, go sit down. I was just chasing cars around. We were there when he was in power, up to today. We know how he say things and then how he behaves. Some people don't like it when a strict man is behaving, they don't like it. But in all, what I would say is that we need people like him in Ghana.
He has done very well. Looking at our constitution, the run of the country, he has done his part. He was able to stimulate all the goodness and happiness for everybody in the country. Look at the situation now. Look at the park. It's full of humans. People are coming from other countries, presidents, vice presidents, and so forth. His legacy is prevailed to everyone.
He has served as head of state of the Republic of Ghana for close to 20 years. Today, he goes home to rest. The cortege behind me is going to take him around Accra, the national capital of the country that he served for so many years. Ghanaians would finally pay their respects before he's moved eventually to be interred at the military cemetery in line with state protocol. This has been a full military funeral, and of course all the security agencies have been heavily involved. The dispatch team will be driving or to be leading the cortege, which of course also has the horse riders in support. This movement is going to be slow, painful and solemn. J.J Rawlings founded a political party, a very powerful one at that, the National Democratic Congress. The leader of that party, national chairman, is Samuel Fosampofo. What are your comments seeing the founder of your party been taken away to the cemetery today?
Well, it's a feeling of sadness and also a feeling that he has fulfilled his destiny. All the tributes that has been read shows that he has played his role. He has served the global community, he has served Africa, he has served Ghana, and of course he has served his party, the NDC, which he founded. And much as we are very sad of his sudden demise, we are still fulfilled that the ideals and the principle that he stood for, he lived for it, he died for it, and we as a party will continue to keep that flame burning and ensure that we carry those principles in everything that we do.
Let me just say that there's a helicopter flyover that is currently happening in commemoration or in memory of the late former flight lieutenant. He retired as a flight lieutenant. It's a cortege that is moving out for him to be taken to the military cemetery where he would be interred. It is a very solemn atmosphere here. So let me speak to a few more people. Let me speak to Dr. Gabra, worked for the former president J.J Rawlings, the man who facilitated his visit to the United States for the first time in 1995. Today, as he goes to rest, what would be your final word?
Well, we are here to say a very warm and wonderful goodbye to our former president. So he discovered his purpose, even if by accident, in the course of the military uprisings and his coming into office allowed him the space to show us what he could do. Remember, he used to remind us, some of us, that he only had an O-level certificate. But if you look at what he did with that O-level certificate, it's more than many PhDs. As you remember, one of his quotations was that he didn't have a PhD in law, in economics, and other subjects, but he had a PhD in how to go to bed on a hungry stomach. And that alone connected him with the people, because if he felt for the people, then he could also find the solution to their problems.
Let me speak a few more people. Someone who has worked very closely with Jerry John Rawlings. Kofi Adams is the Member of Parliament for Buem. Your boss, your party's founder. What should Ghanaians remember Jerry Rawlings for? One thing.
I think if there is anything that we want to remember him for, then our very long constitutional democratic dispensation we are enjoying today will mostly be credited to him. He laid a foundation that gave the necessary understanding of what participatory democracy is. The Provisional National Defense Council was a military government but full of civilians, with civilians having a right to decide. Even at workplaces, ordinary workers had a right to be on management. That is how far he built that democratic dispensation. So by the time we started the constitutional rule, people have enjoyed democracy. They knew the value, they knew how important it was, and so what did they do? They were ready to accept it despite its challenges, and we have been building on, and we hope to perfect it.
Thank you so much.
Truly deserve a rest.
Thank you so much, and our condolences. That's Kofi Adams, is a former he was spokesperson to the late former President Jerry John Rawlings, who goes home today. A lot is happening here at the Black Star Square. Something interesting though is happening where the casket was lying before it was taken away. People have massed up there. People have trooped in their numbers to come and take selfies, if you like, photographs, and take photographs, possibly pay their last respect. While on the other side, the dignitaries who have been here, moving around, who have come to support, are filing out of the Black Star Square. What do you remember about J.J. Rawlings?
J.J., today we are enjoying democracy in this country because of J.J. So today we can't talk much. May God bless him.
You are from the north. What did J.J. do for people of north in Ghana?
More than doing. So we thank God that he didn't disturb anybody. He didn't sick. He didn't tell the family to suffer. Then it goes smooth.
Let me speak to someone who served as a minister in his government, former member of parliament for Ningo Pram Pram, the Honorable Enoch Te Mensah.
I was the first chief executive of Accra Metropolitan Assembly. Yeah, and I was, for 10 years, I was the mayor of Accra.
Under PNDC or NDC?
Under PNDC. And I turned Accra around. When Fajay took over, Accra was in a mess. There was only one double road in Accra from the hospital all the way through to the Labadi Road here. This one, only one. Everything was in a mess. We counted 758 huge mounds of refuse. There are about 300 public toilets in Accra were all out of use. We had to work hard. We demolished the Bakola market and rebuilt it. It was first demolished by the soldiers that I took over. With the remaining was removed, and then we built for the women. And it was a fantastic person to work with.
Thank you. Flight Lieutenant Jerry John Rawlings has served this country for close to 2 decades. His funeral has been held at the Black Star Square The cortege is currently moving through Accra, principal streets of Accra, that is, where Ghanaians will get to pay their final respect. That would be happening, and it will be climaxed in the interment at the military cemetery, also in Accra, from where Citi News is Ni Ayukwe Okan is on standby for Citi News.
The body of the late former president was transferred onto the cortege for a procession through some principal streets of Accra and finally to the military cemetery. So, with the funeral procession ongoing at the military cemetery here at Burma Camp in Accra, we've had some Ghanaians also trooping in here in their numbers to pay their last respect to the late president. Some of them shared fond memories of him with Citi News.
Wobeye bi wanye ni nina afi so asaka kwa meka ne se president bia wo ho no o ma ne nya de na Ghana ya so ye din because Jerry Kasa wo radio so na wo fie kwa na wo hu na wo suro enso ene no government kasa kra na kwala kra no wo ye no enti se mra no president bi be ye bia e kamani beje
ono ma kabi mamin kabi amembu ejirae because tamo de soja ban ebae no obeti asese se kabi mamam kabi aban amambu no eye adwuma nti oma kabi mamam kabi amambu eye adwuma.
At the graveside, the Ghana Armed Forces undertook the reveal, the 21-gun salute and the presentation of insignia as part of the activities to bid farewell to a former flight lieutenant of the Ghana Armed Forces.